What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Fightful Boxing Podcast. Today is April 27th. Yeah, April 27th. We're here with, as always, I'm Toro with my main man, Stephen Muehlhausen. Stephen, where were you last week, man? I missed you.
I missed you, my little guy, man. There's not a lot of things in this world that take me away from being with you, Carlos, and doing the podcast and getting in this crazy business we call combat sports. But when it comes to my little dude being sick, that always tops the cake. So he comes before anybody else. But I'm back. He's better. He finally got done being sick yesterday, which is one of those nasty, funky colds, man, that he just couldn't shake. So finally, he's done with that. He's sleeping through the night. He's in bed right now. So let's rock and roll, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, the main point is going to be Klitschko versus Joshua, and we're going to spend a good portion of that. We'll also have a post-Klitschko versus Joshua podcast, our first immediate post-fight boxing podcast. It's going to on Saturday. I'm going to presume between 5:30 and 6 o'clock Eastern, because I believe the Showtime broadcast is just showing that fight. We'll get into that, and we'll get into that in a second. I am excited for this fight. I'm excited to finally get done with school. Because
congratulations! We got to go. We should have hit like music or something like dun, 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 dun. Or I could have sang a song. I'm a bad singer, but hey, we could have went there. But no, congratulations! Your life is about to begin, as they say when you graduate college. You know, so are you excited? Like, how does it feel to know you're steps away now from being a college graduate?
Honestly, this past month or so, it's kind of been rough. Not because I've been able to fulfill my assignments and everything. It's just everything, the weight of just finally getting things done. It's almost like the analogy of like the last 0.2 miles of a marathon are always the hardest. And honestly, this past month is that 0.2 miles.
You're almost there. The journey is almost there. Congrats. Very proud of you. It is a big accomplishment. I have a bachelor's degree as well, so it's very fulfilling. And now go kick ass, man. That's what they say. And good luck. So it's a big accomplishment, but make sure you enjoy it. I think that's the most important thing. Advice I can give you. Just enjoy the day, enjoy the moments. Because those are things I know you can never take back. So definitely enjoy it, though.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to enjoy these next couple of weeks as I get done with graduation and, get my future setting straight. I know it's going to be with Fightful at the very least, so I'm definitely excited to dedicate my full attention to Fightful because, oh my goodness, I'm graduating at just the perfect time because, my goodness, the fights that we have in the next couple of months are just,
we were talking about this 2 weeks ago, and you're talking, and we'll talk about Berto and Porter. We got Berto Porter from last week. You get with Charlo and Hatley on the, as the co-main. Then we got the fight coming up on Saturday. Next week we got Canelo and Chavez. And then you have Gary Russell returns on May 20th. And then you have Kell Brook and Errol Spence the following week. The day before, you got Mick Conlon, the top rank just announced this week. He's fighting in Chicago. And you have Mike Alvarado on the card as well, a former welterweight champion. So that's always exciting. And then you have June 17th, you have Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev too. And then July 1st, you have Manny Pacquiao and Jeff Horn. So you look at from last week until July 1st. So you can even say back in March. When we started this off with Garcia and Thurman, it's been a hectic 6 weeks already. We got about another, I would say, about 8 more weeks of really great fights coming up here. So this first half of 2017 so far is amazing, and we still got a long way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Berto Porter. I was there at the Brooklyn working as media for Fightful, and my goodness, this was, and I know you told me before the show you saw the 2 main events, but my goodness, the fight, the entire card itself was one of the most exciting, one of the best cards I've seen live from top to bottom. The last 5 fights, at least 4 of the last 5 or 6 fights, all ended via knockout or some form of stoppage. Amanda Serrano, she made history, first Puerto Rican, male or female, to win a world championship at 5 different weight classes. Congratulations to her, by the way. I mean, she had a masterful performance against Diana Santana, and I think everybody expected her to win, but still, she had a incredible performance, a much better fight than the one she had back in January against Yasmin Rivas.
You look at, and I did watch that fight. I watched that fight on Tuesday. I got it sent to me, and just watch. You can say what you want about women's boxing, and I know everyone has their own differing opinions. But at the end of the day, you're starting to see an uptick. They're starting to get more attention. Especially with Clarissa Shields right now, and then it helps. A woman winning 5 world titles in 5 different weight classes. That's amazing. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. I just think that in itself is an accomplishment, and you have to give her credit. And I always say about undercards, especially in boxing. They're more often than not, they're more exciting than the main card. And so it's like, if you guys are going to a boxing show, like if anyone's going to Klitschko Joshua, or if anyone's going to be going to Chavez and Canelo, or Ward Kovalev, or Spence and Brook, or Pacquiao and Horn coming up here, or Ward or Kovalev, go get there early. See these undercard fights, because you're looking at it as, it's like going to an amateur MMA bout. I don't know if you've ever been to one, Carlos, but these guys are throwing, guys and girls are putting it all on the line. They have nothing to lose. They want to get noticed. That's why these guys and girls fight like they do. That's why I love the undercards in boxing, is you see these guys and girls really they put it all out there because they want to get on the pay-per-view shows. They want to be the headliner on like FS1 or ESPN or HBO or Showtime. This is what they're, Fox, CBS. This is what they want, and that's why they put it all out there. And maybe someday they'll end up in main events or, co-main events, or on the main card, a premium card, or on a PBC card on one of the major networks. So I love it. I think it's exciting. Boxing's in a good place, though. And I know you were saying you were disappointed in the attendance. It was like 9,113.
118, I believe. Yeah, one around that, 9,100 and something in the teens. Yeah, and I thought that was very interesting, because you have this card, which, if you compare this to the card not from the Thurman Garcia card, but the one from January, James DeGale versus Badal Jack. You look at both cards, almost half of the fighters from that card were on this card too, and the one in January that drew about 10,000. So, with 2 guys who aren't even New Yorkers, or necessarily superstars in terms of boxing. So I was not disappointed, but a little shocked that he didn't even get to 5 digits. Which, again, this was a hell of a card. I mean, you look, Jermell Charlo had one of the best knockouts of the year so far. Oh my God, it was simply amazing. And then you got Berto versus Porter, which was, I described it in the live coverage on Fightful. It was the WWE equivalent, the boxing equivalent of a street fight.
It was, and you go back to Charlo, and he had a point to prove, just considering the bad blow with him and Hatley. And Charlo had a point to prove. And the fact that he wanted to shut this guy up. He wanted to shut Hatley up for everything he was saying. And then the whole thing with the weigh-in issue, the weight issue on Friday and Saturday, and he really wanted to shut him up. And I thought Charlo put on an amazing performance. I thought he looked amazing. That's the best. Even considering the layoff, which I thought was too long, and I thought it was egregious. And I remember talking to him, and he wasn't thrilled with the fact that he had to sit out for that long. And then you look at, and you talked about the main event, it was a street fight. Plain and simple. That was just an all-out street fight. That there was bad intentions were going to happen in that fight. And that's how Sean Porter fights. He likes being right up in your grill, the same thing like Berto. This fight was tailor-made for both guys, and you saw what happened. I thought you can say what you want about Berto, and even though he lost, I thought Berto put up a good effort. Shawn Porter is a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. Look at what he wins one different round in his fight with Keith Thurman. We're not even talking about Porter and Berto, and we're talking maybe when Porter if he faced Danny Garcia. We wouldn't be talking about Keith Thurman and him still being undefeated. So Shawn Porter's a good fighter. People say he's a little dirty with the headbutts. He's an aggressive fighter. You have to be willing to go toe-to-toe with this guy, or you just have to be a slick boxer like a Keith Thurman, and you get that result. But Shawn Porter's a great fighter. I thought it was amazing. But the thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, I think, also is the fact that when Thurman got into the ring beforehand, when they were on the Showtime broadcast, I don't know if you saw this, he wasn't really too keen on facing Shawn Porter if he won. He was more interested in Manny Pacquiao. He talked about the winner of the Errol Spence-Kell Brook fight. He gets into the ring, and then he's like, oh, you're my mandatory, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, Shawn Porter, you're not getting that fight, buddy. That's a step back for Keith Thurman at this point. What does Keith Thurman have to prove coming right back to take that fight? Unless it was a draw, then it makes sense. But that's a fight maybe you take next year. You let that marinate a little more. Make Porter get another win or two. One win doesn't get you a title opportunity like that, especially against someone like Keith Thurman. Thurman will have a big fight coming. I think Keith Thurman's going to fight the winner of Errol Spence and Kell Brook. I have this inkling that that's going to happen. And then once that, I don't think he's going to fight Manny. I know Manny's talked about fighting him, but we know how Bob Arum is lately. So I think that would be a tug of war. I'd like to see it. I think that would be a great fight. But and to me, that's 75-25 not happening. But I think the likelihood would be Thurman facing the winner of Kell Brook and Errol Spence, and I think that'd be a hell of a fight. Porter's going to have to wait. He'll have to go fight somebody else, and that's more than fine.
Yeah, I mean, you think about Porter, and listen, and I disagree with the whole he was being dirty with the headbutt. Both guys were headbutting each other, and I said it in the solo podcast last week is that listen, Porter knows that Berto is not that great of a boxer when he's faced with a ton of pressure. Porter went inside the body as I thought he would. He was gonna attack, make an aggressive, close fight from the very beginning. I thought he did. And I even thought that if he did that, he was going to win via stoppage. I think I said between the 8th and 10th round, somewhere along those lines. But you said it. It was a fantastic fight. It was bloody. It was gritty. It was a great way to top off what I thought was an excellent Barclays Center card, which I kind of was hoping that that would get a bigger attendance, and the TV numbers you and I were talking about, they weren't terrible, all things considered.
No, 468,000. You got to consider, and everyone gets on Showtime, but Showtime subscriber base is right around the last time I had gotten a concrete number from Showtime. It was around 17 million. Is that horrible? Considering HBO's in the 30s. It could be better, but and then Showtime's building on it though, and I give Showtime credit. It is building. The subscriber base is getting, but you keep putting on big fights, the numbers are going to be there. I don't think this number is a big disappointment considering you had the NBA playoffs, you had UFC. UFC averaged 745,000 viewers. The main event with Artem Lobov and Cub Swanson peaked at 831,000 viewers. So you're taking your competition, and then you had the NBA playoffs. A lot of the ratings right now for like WWE and MMA are going to be down during this time just because of the NBA playoffs. Until they're done, TV ratings I think are going to be a little low, in terms of those ratings in that ratings department. So I think that's a good number, and we'll get into Joshua Klitschko in a moment. And I think that's going to do phenomenal in my own mind. But what do you do now with Berto? Because a lot of people say that, Jim Gray was hinting to Berto at the end of the fight, oh, maybe it's time to retire. He's 33. He's been in a lot of wars. Did I think he looked horrible? No, but he still lost. He lost to a top contender. And it seemed like when Berto was talking, Carlos, he seemed like it was entering his mind at the very worst. What do you think happens with Berto next? Does he stay around? Does he just take some time off, reevaluate? Or do you think he does hang him up?
It's kind of weird. I think he'll take some time. I don't think that, he's gonna. I don't think he should be looking for a big fight or any major fight at this moment, because I don't know if he'll even get one. So I say he's capable of, he could regroup, take the summer off, think about what's been going wrong, because I'm looking at his record right now, and he's lost 5 of his last 9 fights, and his 4 wins were against John Savic, Steve Chambers, Josecito Lopez, and Victor Ortiz. That's not a terrible record, but then you look at all the guys that he's faced and lost. He lost to Ortiz a few years back, then to Robert Guerrero, then to Jesus Soto Carras, then Mayweather, and now to Sean Porter. So you look at this, and Roberto, I think it's just a matter of he needs to find a way to be able to regroup, and be able to keep up with some of these faster fighters, because Sean Porter just, and if it hasn't been brought up with all his previous losses, Sean Porter kind of brought the perfect blueprint to beat Andre Berto, is that you need to be aggressive. You need to hit him in the body, because he's not great at defending that. And I think that's not something that you can easily fix with one training camp for a fight in, I don't know, say August, September, October. I'd say he needs to find a way to regroup, get, work on the fundamentals of defensive boxing, because as great as this fight was, it wasn't exactly great for, if you're looking for defensive boxing. It wasn't. And now you're going to look at somebody as other people in the welterweight division, which is still a pretty stacked division.
Oh yeah.
But he'll still need to, I'd say, he'll just take the summer off, get some rest, and then start fighting towards maybe late fall or winter, early 2018, the next fight. Because right at that point, you're going to have to start thinking about maybe one final world title push. Because he is getting up there in years, and there's still a lot of quality fighters who are at the elite level and significantly younger than Berto.
You look at he's 31-5, and it's not necessarily a murderer's row of guys he's beaten, going 4-5 in his last 9 fights. Beyond Victor Ortiz, I think Josecito Lopez is a blown up guy at 147, but that's for here nor there. But he's getting to the point where he's obviously, based on what you said and what we know, he's not an A-level fighter anymore. He's now in that second crop, because that top crop, you got Thurman, you got Garcia, you got Kell Brook, you got Errol Spence, you got Manny Pacquiao. Those are your top 5. You can make a case those are your top 5 welterweights in the world. And then you still got your deep talent. You still got like Robert Guerrero. You got the Bertos, and there's still some top crop guys at 147. Don't get me wrong, but and you get if Miguel Cotto, he keeps there are reports out there he's going to come back down to fight at 47. And I'll believe that when I see it. But he's in that B level, starting to get towards journeyman status at this point. And it's just, you get to 33, you've been in these wars, the body starts to wear down. Everyone knocks Floyd Mayweather in his style, and I'm not going to be the first nor the last to defend his style, because I'm not the biggest fan of his style either. But it's always that what he says: fight smart. Fight smart. And he fought smart and train hard and fight smart. If you don't have to take blows to the head, why take blows to the head? And Floyd got that, and guys like Berto didn't get that, and now you're looking, his reflexes are getting slower. He's not as aggressive as he used to be. Andre Berto 5 years ago pummels Sean Porter, in my honest opinion. I think he beats Sean Porter. 5 years later in 2017, it's not going to happen. So It is what it is. Whatever Berto does, like you said, I think he takes a lot of time off here. I think he really evaluates. He's going to come back. It's boxing. It's hard to pass up that money. He's still a big-name fighter. He can still command at least $1 million a fight. People like to see him fight, so I think he stays on.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And, congrats to Porter. He had a hellacious fight, and he's technically now the mandatory challenger to Thurman's welterweight title. When that fight's going to happen, honestly, who knows? I mean, I think, as you mentioned, I think Thurman has much, much better fights potentially lined up for him. And Thurman's not really doing anything, and he needs to grab as much attention as possible, because even then, when Thurman appeared on the ring after Porter beat Berto, I was thinking in the back of my mind, this has to be, you have to do something major. You have to, attention worthy. What does he do? He goes in there and says, all right, hey, congrats, Sean. We may fight. I don't know, maybe. And it's like, really? You are constantly, and we were talking about this other fight, about other fighters who are constantly shooting themselves in the foot in terms of marketing. And really, and I forgot which boxer we were talking about that honestly was didn't want to talk to you in English because he didn't know English. I honestly completely forgot at the moment.
Luis Ortiz.
Yeah, Luis Ortiz.
King Kong Ortiz. And this is the issue. And you said hit this right in the head, and I said it on Twitter after the fight. This is my biggest problem with Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman gets in his own way here, because Keith Thurman should be the biggest superstar right now in boxing, bar none. He's good looking, and he can fight,
and he's intelligent.
He's a good looking guy. He can fight, and he's intelligent, but he's not intelligent when it comes to how handling his fight career. This is a guy that should be recognized. Instead of everyone talking about Golovkin, everyone talking about Chocolatito, people should be talking about Keith Thurman as the top pound-for-pound boxer in the world today. Keith Thurman reminds me of Andre Ward, and we've had this conversation about Andre Ward. They're not media savvy. They want to go blame the media for them not being where they're at, but when you consistently turn down interviews, I don't feel bad for neither one of these guys. They're talented as hell. They're the best in their own weight class, and they're two of the best five. They're in the top 5 pound for pound in the world today. It's like Golovkin's so smart. Why do you think Golovkin's where he's at? He came from freaking Kazakhstan. No offense to anyone that's watching that lives in Kazakhstan or has any relatives that are. But this guy came from Kazakhstan. And his team came up with a plan to make him a megastar in the United States. Who do people talk about more in terms like Gennady Golovkin, Keith Thurman, and Andre Ward? They're talking about Gennady Golovkin. I'm sorry. That's Andre Ward's own fault. That is Keith Thurman's own fault. And they're with 2 good PR teams. I get along with them great. But when these guys turn down interviews right after they fight, I got a rest. I did 2 weeks in media, and then I fought. You got to get on that grind for another week. Get your name out there. Get that momentum off your fight. And that's the biggest problem. Golovkin gets that. He really does. And I give Gennady Golovkin a lot of credit. I give Canelo Alvarez a lot of credit. And I got a surprise for you guys next week. And not even you know about, or the man Sean Ross Sapp doesn't know about. But they don't get it. You got it, and you know this. You got to be media savvy. Keith Thurman should be a freaking superstar. If Keith Thurman is walking down the street with Andre Ward and Gennady Golovkin, you know who's going to get recognized more? Gennady
Golovkin.
And that shouldn't happen for a guy that's only been fighting in the United States for about 5 years. That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Keith Thurman and Andre Ward should be ashamed of themselves.
And not just that, is the fact that Thurman is not like Thurman has always been like this for the past few years. You've seen Keith Thurman appear on PBC telecasts. He has done it, but ever since the fight, I don't remember. I think maybe I only remember him doing broadcasting duties on one PBC broadcast all year long, maybe not even one. And fine. If you don't feel comfortable doing the media stuff or doing interviews, which I don't know why, as someone who wants to have the biggest fights, wants to make the most amount of money, I don't even get why you don't even do that. I'm sure Al Heyman would salivate at the opportunity of having Keith Thurman as a broadcaster when he's not fighting or has a fight coming up. Thurman is an extremely smart guy. I spent 20 minutes with Keith Thurman before his fight against Danny Garcia. His boxing IQ is unbelievable. Like, I have learned so much about boxing just spending 20 minutes with Thurman.
And this is the whole thing. And at the end of the day, the fighter's in control. The media people aren't. The PR teams aren't. The advisors aren't. The advisors work for the fighter. And is he intelligent? You're damn right. I've had great conversations with Keith Thurman. I think Keith Thurman is a very great guy. When you talk to him, he's very personable. I'm not taking that away. I'm not trying to sit here and throw Keith Thurman under the soapbox here. But Keith Thurman needs to be out there more than what he is. Why do you think Floyd Mayweather is the big star that he is? Why do you think Manny Pacquiao is the big star that he is? The same thing with Golovkin. These guys get it. It's not that difficult. You look at the UFC, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey. You can see a guy like Tyron Woodley, who I think can be a superstar. These guys are getting themselves out there. You look at WWE and John Cena. You look at the days of like Hulk Hogan, Dwayne Johnson. These guys got it. They were media savvy. They talk to the media. If you don't get your name out there, no one's going to get their name out there for you but yourself. In-ring talent is only going to get you so far in terms of media. You have to have a personality. I'm not saying you got to go be bombastic like Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor, but be yourself. Tell your story. Your story can sell itself. You don't have to be bombastic and flash hundreds of thousands of dollars and be in front of luxury cars or better women or anything else, or cause other headlines like that. You can be yourself. The story can sell, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there, and I think that's unfortunate. And what we get into in a moment, when we're going to talk about Saturday's fight, these are two guys that those two guys get it, and we'll get into that in a moment. But it's just a shame because I think Keith Thurman can really be a superstar. But I think we've talked too much about Keith Thurman.
Yeah.
Keith Thurman should not be getting credit this week. but no, he was part of the news, and it is important. But hopefully one day Keith Thurman will get it, and he will become the star that he should be.
I agree. And, I mean, yeah, we spent a lot of time on Keith Thurman on a podcast that's titled Wladimir Klitschko versus Anthony Joshua Preview.
We'll get it right now. We're 32 minutes in. We're going to talk about it now. You want to make the people wait. This is the one thing I have learned about podcasting in 7 years. You got to make the people wait. Then they're going to watch. Then they're going to listen. And then they're going to come back and watch more of our videos via Fightful Online. Go to Fightful.com. Go to all our awesome articles. Go to our YouTube page. Watch the videos. But mainly, go to the website and watch the YouTube videos because right now YouTube sucks. Killing. Ripping off these poor people. Ripping off guys like us. They want to say we're restricted and wrestling's bad and boxing's bad and MMA is bad. Well, YouTube is bad in my opinion. I'm a little fired up today. I'm sorry. This whole
restricted thing is a whole mess that maybe we'll get into another day, but not now. But guys, you mentioned support Fightful. Check out all the podcasts that we do. Frank Trigg, Sean Pearson, Showdown Joe, The Man, Sean Ross Sapp, Jimmy Van. Shane Helms.
You met Matt Riddle. That had to be pretty cool.
Oh my God! Yeah, I even bought this little shirt.
We're pimping you out, Riddle.
Yeah,
give us some of that. How much does Matt Riddle get all that money? That's pretty cool. How much was that shirt? You bought about $20.
Yeah, $20. I was at the Evolve show where Matt Riddle, he beat Drew Galloway. I think it was called Drew Galloway in the show, not McIntyre. But it was a fun show. One of the funnest wrestling shows I've been to in my life, and that was my first Evolve show. Yeah, I spoke with Matt before and after the show. One of the coolest guys I have ever met. Like, legitimately one of the most genuine, nice people. I brought my roommate along to that Evolve show, and he's not a guy that you can easily impress just by spending a total of 5 minutes. And he said after the show, I love him. I love Matt Riddle.
It's hard to not. I've talked to Matt when Matt was in the UFC, and Matt's a great guy, and I'm glad he is on the team here. He's, in my mind, the best independent wrestler in the world, and I think and I've said this to Matt. Me and Matt have had offside conversations and DMs on Twitter that I think he is the future of wrestling. I think he really is. But we also got the man with the best hair in mixed martial arts, the one and only Elias Theodoreau, who fights at the Ultimate Fighter Finale 25 coming up on July 7th in Las Vegas. I'll help Elias out there. We'll give Elias a little shout out there. That hair I'm very jealous of. But like you said, 35 minutes in, we had this title, Joshua versus Klitschko, and we'll get into it right now. Anthony Joshua defends the IBF Heavyweight Championship of the World against Wladimir Klitschko, former unified heavyweight champion Wladimir Klitschko, on Saturday night out in England from the sold-out 90,000-seat Wembley Stadium in London, England. And it's also for the vacant WBA Heavyweight Championship of the World. I think that was a good start. That wasn't bad.
Yep, perfect. Perfect. You couldn't have done it better. Yeah, I think this fight, we've said this since the very first podcast we did last. Actually, was it last? Yeah, it was March 30th. First podcast was March 30th, or at least record on March 30th. This fight, biggest heavyweight division bout in boxing and of the decade so far. I mean, you have literally Wladimir Klitschko, who has been literally the king of this division for the majority of 10, 11, 12 years. And you got Anthony Joshua, who, in my opinion, should he win this fight, he might as well be the face of the heavyweight division if he isn't already. And I think the fact that this fight is already going to do record-setting numbers in terms of attendance at Wembley, and the fact that it's going to be one of the very rare exceptions to HBO and Showtime working together to do a telecast, I think this, you mentioned it earlier in the show, this is going to do amazing numbers TV-wise.
Now, I mean, you were talking about this before we went on, and this the anticipation of this fight. And this is a fight, this is the biggest fight in the heavyweight division since Lewis Tyson in 2002. This really is. You have, like you said, and you set it up really good, Carlos, you have a guy in Wladimir Klitschko who's reigned supreme in the heavyweight division the last 13 years. He's been the king. You say the heavyweight division, the first name you would say is Wladimir Klitschko. And then you got this young, hungry lion built like a savant in Anthony Joshua, 18-0, 18 knockouts. You look at him and you're like, that is what a boxer should look like. He really should. And and both guys have won the Olympic gold medal. Now you got the young guy, 27 years old, going up against a guy who's 64-4 with 54 wins by knockout. You had the discrepancy in terms of fights. You have the discrepancy of terms of knockouts. And you have just the lure of big fight experience. You can't take away big fight experience. But you just look at, like you said, you look at the hype. 90,000. You sold 90,000 tickets. You didn't sell out 15, not 20, 90. That right there shows the magnitude of this fight. You don't sell 90,000 tickets because you suck. You sell 90,000 tickets because you have the future of boxing against the old guard who's still trying to reign supreme, a guy who's trying to hold on. Does Klitschko have anything left? Does it? He hasn't fought in 17 months. And then you have Anthony Joshua, who's fighting every 4 or 5 months. coming out off a great win over Eric Molina back in December. 2, you got the young lion against the old lion for 2 titles. And then you brought up Showtime and HBO. This is the first time they've ever done a joint venture on live premium non-pay-per-view television. That's how big this fight is. The first part, the live portion will be on Showtime, like you said, at 4:15, then on prime time on HBO starting at 11 Eastern. So everything is trending, and I've been talking this, and I told you this earlier. I've been talking to some boxing people, some journalists, and just some of the boxing media, and some people that work, same thing. Some people that work in the sport, and they haven't seen beyond Mayweather-Pacquiao. There hasn't been this much buzz for a fight since Lewis and Tyson. Lewis and Tyson, and then Mayweather and De La Hoya. That's some rarefied air there. You're talking only 3 fights in the last 15 years that are matching this magnitude. And all 3 of those fights did gangbuster numbers. I expect that coming up on Saturday afternoon here in the States and Saturday night out in London.
And you mentioned just how big this fight is. And I'm going to right now pull up the fact that both Anthony Joshua and Wladimir Klitschko, first of all, I got to give a lot of credit. You and I were talking about how some of these boxers are not being media savvy. This whole promotion of this fight has been so well done. They've been holding a ton of press tours in the United States, especially in New York. They've done a lot of media, a lot of promotion, and I think it does wonders, especially for a fact that you have a guy in Anthony Joshua, and I'm looking right now just to confirm, he's never fought outside of England, and you got a guy in Klitschko who every couple of years will have 1 fight in the United States. That's how big this fight is. That's the magnitude of this fight. And we mentioned this in the first couple of weeks of the podcast. It's the birth, the heavyweight division draws. We can talk about Keith Thurman, but he could have been the biggest name in boxing. Canelo Alvarez and Golovkin, they're 1 and 2 in terms of name recognition in the sport. But the heavyweights will always reign supreme because that's what people grew up watching. That's what people gravitate towards the most. You look at some of the best fighters of all time. Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Rocky Marciano, all through Joe Frazier, all of them heavyweights. And I think Joshua could put himself in position to have a big impact in this decade if he beats Klitschko.
And I got it. And you hit that right in the head, and I got some stuff coming out, and it was the one thing that, and I've seen this in other people writing this, and I thought about this when we started the podcast last month. This is a chance for Anthony Joshua to really cement himself here and become the king of the heavyweights. Even though he hasn't fought in the United States, the ratings he had in December weren't bad at all. The average rate, it was a little bit over 400,000 viewers. That's not bad for a guy that's never fought here.
And against an opponent who's actually a replacement opponent and doesn't hold that much name recognition in the United States either.
No, not at all. And that's the thing you have to really give credit to him for too. And I'll get the exact number for you right now. I'm typing it up now. But it's one of those things to where you had a guy that never fought here still pulling in a number like that. And I give Showtime a lot of credit because they took a chance. They took a chance on a guy that never fought here. They don't give opportunities like that. But you see the star potential in him. He's got everything you want in a superstar. He's tall, he's good looking, and he can knock people the hell out. And that's what you want out of the heavyweight division. And I know people beg me every time I say this, and I get criticized for it. The heavyweight division, when the heavyweight division is going, that's when boxing's at its peak. Boxing's at its highest. Boxing needs an Anthony Joshua win on Saturday night. Does a Klitschko win? Is it cool for the story? Absolutely. A 41-year-old guy who hasn't fought in 17 months looked very sluggish against Tyson Fury when he lost his titles in November of 2015. It's a great story. He beat the young gun. But what does beating the young gun do? Doesn't do much for boxing. It sold a lot of tickets. The ratings are going to be fantastic. Website traffic for our site and a lot of other major publications that cover boxing, they're going to get great web traffic results. We're all going to benefit here. But you know who's not going to benefit is boxing. Because you'd still be stuck in that old guard. Yeah, maybe Deontay Wilder's that guy. But Deontay Wilder hasn't proven in the ratings yet that he's a legitimate draw. He got outdrawn by welterweights. Pretty handedly. By over 2 million viewers on average when he fought Gerald Washington in February. And I'm not knocking the welterweights. I'm just making the point of the heavyweights should be drawing more than the welterweights. You give Thurman and Garcia a lot of credit. But Deontay Wilder is heavyweight champion in the world, and he's American. We should be gravitating to that. Instead, we're not. People are gravitating to a fight between two Europeans. And that's a testament to Anthony Joshua's team. That's a testament to Wladimir Klitschko. It's a testament to Showtime. It's a testament to HBO. So, and at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua has to win this fight. Anthony Joshua should win this fight. I can't see, unless lightning hits the bottle, lightning struck Wladimir Klitschko, I just don't see how Wladimir Klitschko wins this fight and walks out of London, England, the WBA and the IBF heavyweight champion of the world. I just don't.
Yeah. And I'm looking right now at the odds. Joshua, at least one site that I found, I think the Bovada, Joshua's a minus 260 as a favorite. Klitschko as a plus 200 underdog. And, let's face it, the sport is rooting for Joshua to win because he is the next evolution of heavyweight boxing. He's young. He's fast. He's strong, very powerful. He's a good-looking guy. And honestly, every time you see him fight, it's always a fun fight. It's always exciting. And I'm really going to enjoy watching Joshua from here on forward. As you mentioned, his accolades, he's an Olympic gold medalist. And then you're now facing up against another Olympic gold medalist. And Joshua, as you mentioned, Klitschko hasn't fought in the last 17 months. That's going to be huge. That's going to be big for a guy as old as he is. I don't know. I honestly think that the more I'm thinking about it, the closer we are, I honestly think that ring rust is not going to affect him in the way that people normally would think ring rust, but just the fact that he won't know the kind of speed that he'll be getting against Anthony Joshua. And you can read and listen to what Klitschko has been saying, like, oh, I'm older, but I'm so much better than I was in my prime. That's kind of BS. Because I don't think he's faced a fighter quite like Joshua in a long time.
You look at it, you hit this right on the head of saying he hasn't fought in 17 months. He's 41 years old. 41. And I'm not knocking 41-year-olds. I'm 5 years away from that. I'm 36 and I feel slow.
I'm fine. I'm 22. I'm fine. I'm 22.
God, I remember 22. I was dating. I was drinking a lot of beer. And I was actually pretty quick. I used to be a really good golfer at 22. But now I'm 14 years later and a little bit slower and a little more weight. And, it's just a father time. No one ever beats father time. Did father time hit Wladimir Klitschko in November of 2015? Or did Klitschko just have an off night and he underestimated Tyson Fury? Was it just that? Or did Father Time really hit Wladimir Klitschko? We're going to find out in 2 days. We're going to find out in less than 48 hours if that prediction is right. Because you got a guy who's 14 years younger, that you're facing a guy who's 27 years old. 14 years, I don't care what anyone says, makes a whole hell of a lot of difference. And yeah, he's getting this fight because he's Wladimir Klitschko. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. He should have gotten a rematch. He's getting his opportunity. I just think I think Klitschko needs to keep the fight on the outside. I think he needs to work on it. If you pop the jab, and you know this, if you set up the jab sets up everything else. If Wladimir Klitschko can do that, he's got to establish the jab really early in the fight. Right from the outset, I would start popping jabs. So if you establish that jab early, you're going to make Joshua think more. And Joshua hasn't ever been in a fight like this. Yeah, you've sold out 17, 18,000 seat arenas. This is 90,000 people. Millions of people around the world are going to be watching. You're facing the best heavyweight in the last 10 years. There's a lot on the line here on both sides. If Klitschko establishes that jab early, I think he can win this fight pretty handedly. If he doesn't, it's going to be a long night for Wladimir Klitschko, and he's going to end up in a London hospital because Anthony Joshua will send his head back to the Ukraine if he doesn't stick to that game plan. And or does the experience or does the moment prove to be too much for Anthony Joshua? So remember, this guy's only had 18 fights professionally. Yes, he's been in that big stage. He's won an Olympic gold medal. Yes, it was 5 years ago, but to me, I think that Olympic experience, Carlos, I still think that means a lot. He should be able to handle the situation. He should. This is the most media he's ever done. Now, like you said, 90,000 people, millions of people watching around the world. Klitschko's been around this block already. He knows what to do and how to handle everything. This is a new experience for Anthony Joshua, and we're going to see if he's going to be ready, but I think those are some of the scenarios I think we really have to watch out for coming up in this fight. I really do.
And one thing that and someone in our live chat, C.Phoenix, and again, and anybody that's watching the podcast, feel free to leave a question or drop a comment in the live chat. We really appreciate it. And C.Phoenix was saying, one can argue that the heavyweight division has been so relevant is because Klitschko has been at the top for so long. And you know what, to an extent, I agree. I agree that Klitschko's dominance has indirectly hurt the heavyweight division. Here's why. I'm a firm believer that dynasties and lengthy reigns at the top of the mountain do not hurt a particular sport. What does hurt is that it is not exciting, that it is not competitive, and that you're really not exactly a huge box office draw. Rousey was extremely dominant and made almost everyone look like amateurs until she met Holly Holm. But she was still exciting. She was box office, and she made headlines everywhere she went. Klitschko, to an extent, not really. He was fighting mostly in Europe on HBO same-day tape delays, and really not a lot of people were blown away in terms of exciting moments when watching Wladimir Klitschko. When you mention Wladimir Klitschko, the first thing that'll pop into your head is he was a heavyweight champion for a somewhat watered down division. Now it's going to be different because from the last couple of years till now, the division has been completely rejuvenated. We have so many great fighters, young fighters. You mentioned guys like Huey Fury.
No,
Tyson Fury.
Huey Fury, stop it. Huey Fury, we'll get into that. Well, that guy is such a joke. He wasted poor Joseph Parker's time. He wanted nothing to do with Anthony Parker. Or Joseph Parker. He wanted nothing to do with Parker.
Tyson. Because he beat Klitschko. I meant to say Tyson. Okay, I have no idea what's been a whole mess. My mistake. Listen.
Tyson Fury, who knows if that guy's going to get in the ring? He seems like he enjoys eating Twinkies and drinking beers, which I have no problem with drinking beer. I am a beer connoisseur, but I am a journalist. I am not a boxer. I am allowed, in essence, to eat donuts, eat obnoxious breakfast food, and drink a lot of beer. After we're done, I got to write and drink a lot of beer. I got things to do, but I'm allowed to do that. This guy's supposed to be an athlete. I can't. Okay, the Furies really pissed me off. I'm sorry. Fury really pissed me off with that whole situation with Joseph Parker. I feel bad for him.
Yeah. And other guys like King Kong Ortiz, which is a shame he didn't fight on Saturday because of the injury. Joseph Parker, who I really like, and Anthony Joshua. This whole division compared to
Wilder.
Yeah, Wilder.
Yeah, Andy Ruiz, who I think Ruiz is going to be a superstar.
Like compared to look at the division 2 years ago. The division 2 years ago was not this good. Now all of a sudden, all these guys just blossomed out of nowhere, and the division's exciting. I love watching heavyweight boxing, and honestly, for the longest time, you couldn't even get me excited to watch any heavyweight bout, even a Klitschko bout, which I've always been bored, to be honest with you. Sometimes I've fallen asleep at Klitschko fights, and I'm sorry, and I admire Klitschko for how good he's been, but honestly, he's never really excited me. But now the division does. Now it's a great division in boxing.
You know what? Klitschko was more about the spectacle of getting to the ring. Don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. I'm not going to sit and take anything away from Wladimir Klitschko. But what I said earlier, which is why people think he's not as exciting, he's still finishing people, but he's very technical. And if he gets technical in this fight, like I said, if he starts with the jab, if he starts there, I think he can win a boring decision. I think he can. I don't think the fight's going to be boring. Even if he starts piling with the jab, I think Klitschko knows at this point he's got to stop this guy. He knows that in the heart of hearts, he knows he's got a big point. His legacy is on the line in this fight. People are doubting him. Will he show the heart of a champion? Will he show how much he's got left? Or does he wilt to the young lion, the guy who's hungry, the guy who's looking to make his mark and become the king of boxing? Because that's what's on the line here with both of these guys. They both have a major, major point to prove. It's just a question of who's going to implement their game plan more. If Joshua gets it, Joshua can't win a technical boxing match. I don't care what anyone says. I've seen enough of his fights. He has to get on the inside, and he's got to use his power. His power will carry him to victory in this fight. He can't technical. Being a pure boxer will not win him this fight. It just won't. Wladimir Klitschko is the better pure boxer. It's just a question of it's going to come down to power. I really do. The power of Klitschko against the power of Joshua. Or does Klitschko decide to be smart and stay on the outside, pop the jab, and go to work, and then go outside in after that? So, a lot of storylines coming up in a few days here. I just can't wait for this fight to happen.
Yeah, I think this fight's going to be good. And I guess like I mentioned, the promotion for this fight's going to be good. I got to give promoter Eddie Hearn a ton of credit, who I have met. First of all, holy smokes, he is a big guy. This is like 6'3", 6'4", something like that. I remember I was interviewing him in the press conference, and the final press conference before Berto Jack versus James DeGale. And I was just surprised, first of all, and I'll get to more about the fight in a second, but he was a huge guy. He was like well above 6 foot. He towered over me. He's not an intimidating figure, but he's an imposing figure. He's a guy that commands a room, and he's done an excellent job with Anthony Joshua's promotion. And he's a guy that not only thinks about the fighter's next fight, he already has a plan A, B, C for the future. And honestly, Joshua wins this fight. I am excited to see what they have in store for Anthony Joshua, as we can safely assume the new face of the heavyweight division.
Oh, Eddie Hearn's the best promoter in boxing. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Eddie Hearn is such a nice guy. And he gets it. This is, I wish I would see De La Hoya like Eddie Hearn. I wish we would see Al Heyman, Floyd Mayweather trying to get in, Lou DiBella. I wish more guys would be like Eddie Hearn. Tom Loeffler, the guys at K2, they get it too. They absolutely get it. If there was more guys like Eddie Hearn and the Tom Loefflers and the guys at K2, man, American boxing would be in a much better position than what it is. But that's what we were talking about. Anthony Joshua wins this fight. He is the king of the heavyweights. He is the best heavyweight in the world. And you look at it with one fight, Anthony Joshua can become the face of boxing. But he has to he can't, a boring decision doesn't do it here, Carlos. A decision, an entertaining decision, okay. That will do it. But the fight has to be entertaining, and Anthony Joshua has to win. Because if Klitschko wins, that heavyweight, unless Deontay Wilder goes in there and beats him, I think the guy who could beat Wilder, to beat Klitschko, I think is Joseph Parker. I think Joseph Parker is that guy. No offense to Deontay Wilder, who's amazing. Great guy to talk to. He's got the heaviest hands in boxing. But I think he's in pure technical skill. I think Joseph Parker would blow him out. And I think the same thing with Wladimir Klitschko. So the guy to do it, if it isn't Parker, if it isn't Joshua, would be Joseph Parker. But Anthony Joshua has a great, great opportunity in 2 days.
All right. Now the important question. Who do you have winning and in what manner? Time for predictions.
I thought the most important question was going to be, what kind of beer are we drinking tonight? And then I thought the next important question would be, what do you think of your team's draft picks so far?
Ah, that's right. I would need to actually check really quick. I know I'm a Jets fan.
The Bears got my guy, Mitchell Trubisky, baby. Welcome to the Bears, baby. Woo!
You are so excited. Listen, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining with what the Jets got. The Jets, I forgot. I'm gonna look really quick. The
Jamal Adams, you got the best player in the draft, man.
Yeah, we got pretty good. At first, I was like, all right, please, the Jets better pick somebody, some good offensive guy.
Best player in the draft.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not complaining. More often than not, Jets get it right when they get solid defensive players in the first round. I can't really complain too much.
You said the Jets got it right. That doesn't happen often.
That's true. That is true. I was watching earlier today a video of like Jets draft pick blunder, which is kind of like the unofficial tradition for Jets fans to watch. Which is like I think it was like a montage of like failed draft picks in the 80s. And my favorite one is when the Jets passed on Warren Sapp. And everyone was chanting, "We want Sapp! We want Sapp!" And then just the Jets fans deflation. I think it was the tight end. I don't remember who it was. It was. That was my favorite moment. Second favorite moment is when I forgot who they wanted to pick, but when Pete Rozelle, the former NFL commissioner, was saying, the Jets pick fullback. They mentioned the position first, and then everybody was chanting, "Oh no!" And it was there's just a mystery of Jets fans everywhere. But you're right.
You asked who I thought who's going to win. That is the $1 million question on why we're doing this podcast. It's hard to deny Anthony Joshua here. I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's going to figure it out early. I think Klitschko's going to have his moments. I'm going to go Anthony Joshua, 7th round TKO. Anthony Joshua retains the IBF Heavyweight Championship of the world and gets a hold of the WBA Heavyweight Championship of the world. Anthony Joshua, 7th round TKO.
Wow, 7th round?
7th round.
See, I was gonna go Joshua stoppage in the 10th round.
Okay.
Stoppage in the 10th round because I think Klitschko is definitely gonna hold his own. And also just really quick, this interesting stat. If should Klitschko lose, it would be the first time via stoppage, I would say. It would be the first time Klitschko lost via decision. A little quiz. I want you to guess the year and who he lost via decision, via stoppage.
Layman Brewster from Layman Brewster.
Yep.
That's why I'm awesome, man. Yeah. God, I'm not even looking at anything. I'm doing a piece on Wladimir Klitschko in his best fights, and I actually thought that was a great fight. And that was one of the ones I was thinking about putting in there. Doing like a best of Wladimir Klitschko. And that was something I was actually thinking about putting in there. Just because it's always look at how you handle a loss. how you bounce back. And the reason I think that was a key fight for him, he really turned it around after that point. He figured it out. And don't get me wrong, Emmanuel Stewart was he was very instrumental in that. And he gave Wladimir that confidence. But he was always the more talented one in my mind. No offense to Vitaly. I think Vitaly was an amazing boxer. But Wladimir was always, in my mind, the more talented one. He was the one that I thought that could succeed on a higher platform than Vitaly. Vitaly seemed like he was more content fighting in Europe. And, he didn't want to, he was the more technical and pure boxer in my mind, where Wladimir, it took some time. He went from the power puncher wanting to knock everyone's block off to the guy that started to become that pure boxer. And that's what we're seeing right now. And we talked about it when Golovkin fought Jacobs. That's what we're starting to see more from Gennady Golovkin. And that fight was the turnaround period for him. And he turned it around and went on his run. And, he doesn't lose 2 times in a row. But you're 41 years old, Carlos. And we said it earlier, Father Time doesn't wait for nobody. Father Time decides on his own. He decides when you're ready, when he's ready to say you're done. We're going to find out what Wladimir Klitschko has left in the tank. He could shock the world, but I highly doubt it.
We'll see about that. And right before we go,
actually, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm going to turn it around here. I've been dying to ask you this question, and since they announced the commentating teams and how they're going to do it, who's going to be the better broadcasting team on Saturday? Will it be the Showtime team or the HBO team? They both have their faults, and they both have their weaknesses. I mean, their weaknesses, and they have their strengths.
I'm going to be watching both. I'm going to be watching both telecasts. It's... I'm so partial to Mauro Ranallo and the Showtime team. Like, they've really impressed me in the past couple of years, but I grew up watching the HBO team. I grew up watching Jim Lampley. I grew up watching Max Kellerman. That's gonna be tough. I'm gonna say the Showtime team.
Wow. I'm going HBO.
Listen, it's a very close, like 1A, 1B. I think the Showtime's gonna be just slightly better, but I'm probably gonna enjoy the HBO broadcast team a little bit more because as a collective unit, they're more enjoyable, and I grew up and I listened to them way more than the Showtime.
Now, I like Morrow. I'm friends with Morrow, and I talked to Morrow earlier this a text wishing him good luck and everything. He got back to me saying thank you, and this isn't a wrestling podcast, but I just want to Morrow's in a great place. I will say that I thought Morrow did a great job on last Saturday. It was good to see him back in the ring, calling a boxing fight, and he was good. I listened to part of the Rising show, and from what I listened to, him and Frank Shamrock did really well. I'm an HBO guy, and this is no offense to Morrow. I love Al Bernstein. I think Al Bernstein's amazing. But to me, it's like Ronaldo's better than Lampley. Kellerman is better than Bernstein. So okay, now it's even. But then you got Malignaggi and Roy Jones. There is no bigger homer than Paulie Malignaggi. I'm sorry. I listen to Paulie Malignaggi. And don't get me wrong. I gave him credit. He was willing to get in the ring, and he made the ultimate sacrifice. But you cannot find a more biased analyst than Paulie Malignaggi. I'm sorry. I'm going to be very intrigued if he calls this fight fair, because I don't think he will. When I listen to Roy Jones doesn't give a hoot. Roy Jones is going to give his opinion. I give the edge to HBO. Maybe Paulie surprises me and actually calls a fight down the middle for once. I highly doubt it, but we will see. I have been proven wrong before. And I like Paulie. I think Paulie's a good analyst. I think Paulie's a homer. Paulie has his guys and will defend his guys to the end. And I had to ask you that because I've been wanting to ask you that all week.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as I mentioned, I love the HBO group. Always have been, and I agree. I like that, and I like that the way you broke it down. I think Morrow's better than Lampley. No disrespect to Lampley, but I just think Morrow's better.
And I like Jim Lampley. I think Jim Lampley's a great guy. I've interviewed him probably 5-6 times. I think Jim Lampley's great. I think Al Persian's great. I think Morrow's great. I think they're all great. I haven't even talked to Max, but the way you listen to hear Max break down a fight, I love listening. And that's no disrespect to Al. I've talked to Al numerous times. I think Al's really great. But, and there's a competition here, and that's the other underlying thing here that no one's really talking about here. There's a lot of pride here for both networks. They're not going to come out and say, and I've talked to some people. I've talked to people in both companies. There's always been that big brother mentality between HBO and Showtime. But you've seen Showtime starting. We talked about this earlier. Showtime's starting to creep up on HBO. They don't like each other. They respect each other. But they want to kick each other's ass on Saturday. HBO hopes Showtime does really bad in the ratings. Showtime hopes that HBO does really bad. Who do you think gets the better rating on Saturday? Who do you think?
That's actually tough. Because the easy answer would immediately be Showtime. That's an easy answer, but it's not really going to be as simple as that. It's not going to be. HBO just simply attracts a bigger amount of viewership. But that's it. But it'll be interesting. You know what? I'm going to say HBO because I do believe that some people are actually going to be looking at the two broadcast teams. They're going to look at Showtime's broadcasting, see how they break down the fight, and they may look at the HBO broadcast, and maybe the broadcasters there will change some viewers' opinion of the fight if it goes to a decision and it's a close decision. I think people are going to be looking at both telecasts just to sort of get two different points of view.
Now I'm going to watch both as well, and I'll probably do something about I'll figure out how to write something about it. But each network paid $3 million to air this fight, hoping there's going to be a rematch. So I think in a way, both networks, I think in dollars and cents and thinking about historical aspects and stuff like that, I would think they'd want Wladimir Klitschko to win. Because then you get the rematch. HBO, gets it live. But Showtime gets the replay, and that's okay. I think HBO does the better rating. I'm not a fan of fights at 4:15 Eastern and 3:15 in the afternoon. My wife's pretty mad, to be quite honest. I'm missing a family function, so I got to cover the fight. But I just don't like the time. And I get it, it's the UK. There's a lot of everyone's making a lot of money here. HBO's making a lot of money. Showtime's making a lot of money. Sky Sports, which is airing it on pay-per-view in Europe's making a lot of money. Everyone's making a lot of money here, and I get it. But I think HBO wins this rating. I really, really do. Now, would I be shocked if Showtime won? No, I wouldn't, because it's airing live and it's generating a lot of buzz live. And then people are going to know the result. And that's the whole thing about with this new age. People are they already going to know the result of the fight. Maybe they do tune in. I think a lot of it they will turn in for the commentating team. But I think it's just another layer, Carlos, to what all this means in a historical aspect, even in terms of where it's going to be broadcast. This is a great time to be a boxing fan. This is a great time to be a boxer. It's a great time for us because, and I sincerely mean this, we're doing something that, in my mind, and I know for a fact, is revolutionary. Because no other, beyond Chris Mannix's boxing podcast, and that's just pure audio, we're doing video. We're doing some. ESPN doesn't do a video boxing podcast. Yahoo Sports doesn't do a boxing video podcast. Sports Illustrated doesn't. Fight Hype does one, but Fight Hype stopped doing it. We're doing something really great here. We're making some history. We're making some treadway here. And I'm all about history. I really am. And everyone tune in. Watch this. Keep subscribing. Subscribers are going up big time for Fightful, guys. Keep showing the love. Keep going to Fightful.com. We got great podcasts. I'm impartial. I think our podcast is best because I think it is. And it's no disrespect to no one else, but I want to be number one. You want to be number one. If you don't want to be number one, you shouldn't be doing this. And that's just my honest opinion. We have a lot of great podcasts. Like you said, Sean Pearson, Frank Trigg, the man with the best hair in MMA, Elias Theodore, the best indie wrestler in the world today and the future of professional wrestling, Matt Riddle, the man, Sean Rassab, Jimmy Van. We got amazing podcasts. This, in my mind, is the trendsetter. This is going to be numero uno in no time. No disrespect to no one else. We're making history. Thank you for listening. I'm done. I'm that passionate. I don't know what I feel because I feel that strong about this podcast. I think we're doing a lot of great things, and boxing's in a great place right now. And this is a great time to be on board, guys. It really is.
Absolutely. And one good thing about that that we do great, that all these other podcasts not only are not doing as well, or at least can't do, is that we're doing a video podcast live. And we got chat. We got a question in the chat. Really quick before we don't have a lot of time. We barely have any time left. Do you guys feel that all these MMA fighters trying to get into pro boxing is good or bad for the sport? This one's from C. Phoenix. I don't know. I'm gonna let you go first because I've been going back and forth when it comes to.
Do I think? Issue. You know what? Before in all honesty, I would say no. But I have no problem with guys wanting to do other things. I really don't. Because you look at MMA, they're independent contractors. And boxers have contracts with their promoter, or some just go on a fight-by-fight basis. And I feel if MMA fighters want to get into boxing, so be it. If it's something they're passionate about and it's something they want to do, why not? Should Conor McGregor be stepping in with Floyd Mayweather? Absolutely not. Will it sell a lot of make a lot of money? Absolutely. Does it help out this website? You're damn freaking right it does. You look in dollars and cents, yeah, it makes sense. From just a sports standpoint, absolutely not. Jimmy Manuwa and David Haye, that makes no sense either. That makes more sense though if you think about it, because Jimmy Manuwa was in boxing, so it makes sense. Conor McGregor's never even had a boxing fight. Jimmy Manuwa has, so I can make a case for Jimmy Manuwa and David Haye. Not a good case, but it's a better case than Mayweather and McGregor. And I think if any boxing fight happens, I think Mayweather and McGregor is unfortunately going to happen. But out of those two, if I'm going to pick one I want to see, if I think it's going to be more exciting, I think it would be Manuwa and David Haye. I'm all for guys doing it, but I think if MMA guys are going to do it, they need to start in the lower ranks and work their way up. You have to have, at least you should have some experience in boxing, not just being a stand-up MMA fighter, because it's two totally different sports. You have to learn different footwork. It's different training methods. It's different hand-eye coordination. It's two totally different sports. It's like an apple to a tomato. That's how far off they are, in the grand scheme of things. So I'm for it, but in that aspect of taking high caliber fights like that out of the chute, absolutely not.
Okay, I can definitely get behind that. Thanks again, everybody, so much. Fightful will have a live discussion, live coverage of Klitschko versus Joshua. I will be handling that. And then after that, we'll be doing a live podcast after this tremendous fight. And it's going to be wild.
Now, remember, the fight airs at 4:15 Eastern, 3:15 Central, 2:15 Mountain Time, and 1:15 Pacific Time. And out in England, I'm going to imagine we're going to get a lot of English folk and a lot of folks from Europe. So you guys are going to be up late on Saturday night. You guys are going to be half in the bag by the time you watch this podcast. I shouldn't have said that. But that's what makes this podcast great, because we talk off the cuff. But it's going to be a great night, Carlos. Are you ready for Saturday? It's what I want to know. It is 10:19 Central Time, and I'm ready now. I'm ready now.
I've been up since 6 a.m. in the morning Eastern Time doing homework and projects, and I'm still hyped for this fight. I'm still beyond hyped.
It's the biggest heavyweight fight in 15 years. And just talking to different people, and even just thinking, just thinking in my mind about it. In terms of just hype and interest, from what I've seen and what some of the math I've seen, this is in terms of, I'm not saying it's Anti's, but it's like Lewis in terms of it's Lewis type. You got obviously Mayweather Pacquiao, Lewis Tyson, Mayweather Pacquiao. This is in the top 5. This is like a top 4 fight in the last 13 years, and last 15 years in terms of interest. A worldwide interest. I'm not saying not even just here, but around the world, worldwide interest. So it's going to be great. All the eyes are going to be on this fight. All eyes are going to be on Anthony Joshua and Wladimir Klitschko, and it's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it.
Once again, we'll be, final reminder, 4:15 Eastern at Showtime. I believe 10 or 11 p.m. on HBO.
11 p.m.
11 p.m. And then after the fight, after the broadcast finishes on Showtime, that's when we're going to have the Fightful Boxing Podcast, our first ever post-major fight boxing podcast. So,
are you ready? Are you ready, Carlos Toro? Are you ready?
I am absolutely ready.
Where can the peeps find you on Twitter?
They can find me at Carlos Toro 360.
And you can find me at S Muehlhausen MMA, SMUEHLHAUSEN MMA.
You heard it here, and once again, for the Fightful Podcast, Carlos Toro, Stephen Muehlhausen, signing out.